Steve, episode 48 of the Broadway block. New captain in town, number 28. Does he get traded next year to Tampa Bay like the previous two captains? And did you hear about these Jimmy Vesey rumors? Is he coming back? Is that happening?
It's not official yet. I guess I don't hate it. It does like cement in my head the idea that, somebody like Mott was sort of gonna leave anyway, or Vetrano, or maybe the contract was just never really on the table. But it is a little bit questionable when you got guys like Gauthier and Vesey. I understand wanting to fill out like a depth role because injuries we talked about, we look kind of susceptible to injuries at the moment. And I think what you're going to get from a guy like Vesey, but at the same time, I understand maybe he's a little younger, but why don't you just get a guy like Rooney at that point? You know what I mean? We'll see as far as what the contract states, but from everything that I see, it seems like league minimum. So I guess you can't be mad at the contract term or the cap hit, but it is a little bit questionable considering also that Drury had mentioned wanting to leave some of that cap untouched come deadline time. Maybe we see VC involved in a deal to get a player the other way. But other than that, doesn't really move the needle for me. I know it's funny that my jersey of choice long ago, I got a JT Miller, and the two options at the time that fit me when we were at the store were JT Miller and Jimmy Vesey. Though at least those were the two that I was kind of between. And I like JT Miller a whole heck of a lot. My dad ended up getting a Pavel Buchnevich jersey. And ever since the Miller trade, I always told him that he got the better of the two. None of us could have ever predicted that Jimmy Vesey would have been the actual jersey.
Yeah, maybe coming back
in this situation to have the most longevity. But funny how things work out like that. But
yeah, I could see the Jimmy Vesey signing, like just as a depth signing. I think he's only 29. He's already played for where'd he go? I thought his career would be over in Buffalo because that's really where careers go to die. But then he went to the Devs. I think he was with the Canucks for a little bit. So like he's been around and I guess he's worth it. But I guess he'll be down there with like Carpenter and Dryden Hunt. And we saw Dryden Hunt get hurt and we knew there's always the bottom six rotation happening. So I guess, like you said, just a depth signing if it happens. I haven't seen anything official, so I wouldn't say he's on the team yet. What do you feel about Trouba, man? I know he's got the leadership presence. He comes in with those big hits. He's an older guy. He's been there for a little while. Like, how do you think Chris Kreider feels? Do you think Chris Kreider does not want to be the captain? Is that what keeps happening here?
Yeah, I do. I think if the fans were to pick, it's Kreider or somebody like that, or Fox in a year or something like that. So I think there's got to be
the Trouba to Tampa trade.
No. So here's the thing. I mean, like we're all joking about it, but just because you're the captain doesn't mean you can't get traded. So I think for anyone freaking out, there's that, and there's also the fact that he has a no-move contract until 2024. You can move a non-move contract. You just have to sort of ask them to do so. Not that the captain of a team who wanted to move to New York for their wives' career as well, would he want to leave? Probably not. But you can trade him in 2024, which is literally a season and a half away. So it's not too unrealistic that this isn't a long-term thing.
Is it a bridge? Do you think it's a bridge captaincy till one of these younger guys is?
I do. And I know, I want to play both sides of the fence here because I really do like Trouba. And I think that there's a few things not to like. I've seen him look a little bit squirrely on some plays, whatever. I've seen him take some bad penalties. I'm not saying that he's the best player in the National Hockey League. I think when it comes down to being a captain, I think he definitely has what the team needs in a captain. And it was voted for by the players last season, and Trouba was the guy that they awarded it to. So, what does that say about the team? They obviously are looking towards him. And you look at the influx of the young defensemen that they got, and every single one of them touts Trouba as the guy that sort of brought them in under their arms. So I have a lot of mixed feelings about it because, to me, I look at a captain as, it doesn't have to go to the best player in the team. I don't want to say that that's it either, but it goes to the catalyst that sets the example when no one's setting the example. And you think about it at your own job. your boss, whoever that person is, where that makes you want to try extra hard. And if they're freaking out, but boy, you are freaking out. So Truba does have that sort of calm energy to him, right? So I think that there's that. You can look forward towards him driving the engagement maybe a little bit more, because I remember as a Jet seeing him below the slot line, down underneath the dots, cycling pucks down low and wanting to drive to the net, because he really is an offensive threat. He just hasn't had to do it as much here on the Rangers. And the other thing that I really look for in a captain is I want the person who can change the game when they step out onto the ice. Now, Trouba is a game changer, but is he a game breaker the way that Crosby, as much as I hate these guys, Crosby, Ovechkin, when they go out onto the ice, they know that if they score the goal, that it has this ripple effect to the rest of the team. And, to me, a guy that scores 52 and has the biggest celebration freakouts on the bench possible. I mean, look at those momentum swings when game-breaking moments like that happen for Chris Kreider or for Mika Zibanejad. Adam Fox is a guy that comes to mind. Maybe Lafreniere if we're seeing like a 80-point type of season from him. So that's my initial pause, is that maybe in the now there's some people that represent what to do and can maybe change the game themselves. Look for a big season from Trouba. I mean, this guy can score goals. He's led his team in scoring before. So I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I also feel like he really had a rough go at it that first year, kind of settled down and gave us a little bit more what's to be expected. And I think that he clearly has made himself a target around the rest of the league as being a guy that if your head is down, look out. You are going to get trucked. And as much as I
hit a Trouba.
As much as I don't want to like latch on to that type of thing, the captain, again, I guess if we're thinking about things that we look for, it should be a guy that's revered in a way, in an aspect, right? That when they go into town, you're not going to have an easy night because you've got a good group of guys there that are going to make it hard for you to play against them. So Trouba's the captain.
I agree with you on that. Like, think about our playoff series. Like the Crosby hit in the round one game, series changing. Hit on Max Domi, round two. That was, watch out. Like, we're going to hit you and we're not going to take your shit. Like, so I think the big hits, like, I think you nailed it completely. Like, he used to be more offensive minded. Like, when he first came here, I was like, oh, great. He's going to score like 10 from the blue line guaranteed every season. He hasn't had to do that as much, but that doesn't mean that that's not one aspect of his game. You are right in the captaincy. Like, you have to be great in one aspect, and you nailed it when you said your head's low, like you're going to get hit by Trouba. And those were game-changing hits, series-changing hits. And everything I've heard from every player about him, the leadership is there. He'll take you under his wing. He'll show you how to be a good defenseman and a good teammate. So I definitely can see why he got chosen. But I still am with the fans, the Twitter world. Like, what about Chris Kreider? Like, I want to call Kreids up and be like, do you just not want to be captain? Are they just not even looking at you? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, it's a funny thing too, because I remember people saying like, "Oh, give it to Zibanejad," and then you look through moments of these guys' careers where there's, I don't want to say inconsistency, because what happened with both of these guys last year was a real thing of beauty, and Kreider really put up a season that none of us will soon forget. But let's be honest, maybe it's not sustainable. So, with some of the disappearing acts that can kind of happen, I do think that Trouba does bring a real like steadiness, I should say, a calmness. And if you want to talk about like how we want the team to embody itself moving forward, we want the team to be tough to play against, gritty as all hell, and moving forward, these young guys, like, you see Laugh throwing more hits, you see those things rubbing off that way. So I think if this is a bridge, it sets the tone that we're a tough team to play against. And moving forward, if one of those premier star type players is the one that gets appointed to it, and they have that sort of mystique that, I don't think anyone that watches Adam Fox play the game would want anyone else on our team with the puck when it matters in a game important decision, right? Like, you got two guys coming up the wing, you got one to pass it to the other one. I want it to be Fox, and I want him to be dictating the pace of the game when it happens, when the pass happens. So that would be. I think
we have a nice balance of defensemen there. Like, Fox is more a puck handler. Lindgren's a gritty guy who's like the type you want on your hockey team. Trouba's the leadership role, big hitter. Keandre Miller's like kind of a combination of all of them, like can shoot, can
Great
be a
stick.
big hitter, like has puck handling skills. And then the bottom line's the bottom line. Like you can fill in. Like I think Schneider's gonna greatly benefit. Like people call him Baby Trouba. Like he's a big hitter. I think he's gonna learn to be better with the puck. And he had a couple bad plays here and there in the playoff series, but like he's a young guy. He's only gonna get better by getting more ice time, being out in New York all the time. Like spotlight's always on you. Um, so like I think we're well rounded down there in the defense. A little weaker on the bottom, but for the most part, I think that's what you want. You want some guys to be able to score. You want some guys that can, definitely hit, keep the puck moving, and then you got to have a Lindgren on your team. You got to have a warrior.
Lindy is one of those dudes that I don't think he's going to get enough press.
Do you think we can sign him when it comes down to it?
I'm sorry?
Do you think we're going to be able to keep him and sign him, or is it going to be like a Brad Park kind of thing? We're just going to trade him off. Everyone's going to be real upset.
He's no Brad Park, but he's on this contract, and it's pretty team friendly for the next 2 years. And what I think with a Lindgren, and like, yeah, he might be a casualty because you talk about our core, and it's like, how many people can you really include?
How many can you keep? It's like a lifeboat. Like you can't keep everyone on the lifeboat.
And then you think about our contracts, and like I said, contracts can be moved and no move clauses don't really mean much. But you look at the way we're locked into guys like Goodrow and Trocheck. I mean, there is a clear message of like, these are our role guys, and we have these star guys in Zibanejad and Kreider, and I'd say Fox in that category as well, and Igor, obviously. And then we have the young talent that we've seen it, but man, if there's that extra level, look out.
That could be what we need to get us to that next level we're looking for.
I know we mentioned it last time, but I do think our window, we are now in the middle of it. I feel like the window is open. We are now, as long as this stays open, and that's going to be as
barring
long as
any serious injuries, Igor playing as well as he did. Correct. Chris Kreider is still throwing up 30, maybe not 50. No serious injury to Trouba.
The timeline of all these contracts is going to be huge. And then we'll see what happens as far as who we unload, because you could certainly get something for a guy like Lindgren. And don't forget that he was just an extra in the Nash trade. So it's like thinking about the ways to constantly better your team. Lindgren might be a casualty, but if there's something to be said about the way that we've conducted business so far, hopefully we can turn him into something that we can get for it. But let's not think about Lindgren leaving the team just yet. I'm a big fan of Lindgren. I feel like if he can stay on that same contract, or something similar to it, like a 4.5, something like that, that wouldn't be a major increase from where he's at. I feel like it's definitely a move to make, but excited to get the season started, man.
Who are you most excited to see that we haven't? I'm going to count Sammy Blais since he only had like a quarter season. Who are you most excited for out of Blais, Trocheck, Kravi? Trocheck, wow.
Yeah, I think that it's been a while since we've had a real number 2 center. I feel like people are going to be really surprised what Trocheck brings. He's a gritty guy. He is going to battle in the corners. I remember something too, and I want to just stem off of what you said because it got me thinking. Panarin, when he played with Jesper Foss, man, what did that give us? A puck retriever, a puck distributor. And we never had that finisher. Now, let's think in a perfect world. You got Kako over there. He's starting to find his own. He's starting to finish goals. You got Trocheck rubbing people the wrong way, in under the goal line, being that 200-foot player, because don't forget, as a centerman, that is your job, to be behind that goal line and digging at pucks. Jesper Foss was great at it, but sure, that leaves you out of position a little bit. And I always felt like Panarin worked really well with a workhorse-type player. Trocheck said it himself. I've never played with a player that's on
account that's going to be fun
ever in my life. So if you consider the fact that they're going to have a triggerman in either Kako or Lap, and that both of those two dudes have something to prove going into this year, maybe it's Kravtsov. I don't even care. It's someone who's going to shoot. And then you have a guy that can go get you the puck. And he's going to be physical about it. It's not going to make it an easy time on you. And you got someone like Panarin with such a sneaky stick and such a brilliant passing distributor of the puck and also a finisher. I mean, look out. That second line is going to live and die by Trocheck's chemistry.
Also, like, I think with Panarin, like, having someone like Trocheck, like, a lot of the, like, playoff series, like, we complain about it. Obviously, he had that game winner. Panarin has a certain style of play, and a lot of teams like gave him a hard time in the playoffs. But if you have someone else on the line that's giving you a hard time, it allows Panarin to do his thing, get those
Absolutely.
open looks, those angles, those great passes back across the box. Like, I think
Absolutely.
I'm with you on the Trocheck signing. I'm excited about it. I think it's a good cap number. People were worried about the term. Like you said, no move clause. You can make something happen. If the guy really shits the bed, you can make it happen. But I I, I was worried in the Carolina series watching Trocheck. He would dig those pucks out from behind, and he would find the open man at the blue line and start the puck movement again.
And anytime you watch him score a goal, he appears out of nowhere. He's not even in the frame. I mean, this
You're
guy
like,
is
who was
someone
that? Who scored?
he is elusive. I can't tout Trocheck enough, and I can't tell you how much I'm satisfied with our ability to go out and get a guy like Copp, see what we have in Copp and Strome, and say, you know what, for the same money, let's just get the guy. Let's get the
Let's
guy
get
that
an
we
upgrade.
need.
Let's get a motherfucking upgrade.
Yep. And I to tack on what you said about Panarin being a beacon for attention and that sort of alleviating some of the stress on his line mates, it's not really that helpful when your teammate is a guy like Strome or someone who is on
But
that right
Trocheck,
wing
he'll shoot
and
that
is
motherfucker. He's not
constantly
gonna miss that
rotating.
empty net.
He's not gonna miss that empty net. As you watch the clip that our buddies at the Rangers posted, um, I mean, it's the same exact play. He finishes it. But also think about the carousel of linemen that they've had on that right wing,
Yeah.
and finding some stability with these two and maybe that third piece. I would almost call me crazy. Kako goes to the top line. And I would almost rather Kako because he's a brilliant puck retriever. You know, he's a great 5-on-5 defensive forward. I feel like he could really use that boost of being on that top line. He gets the puck and can distribute it well. He's good down below the dots, which is somewhere that you don't really, or sorry, below the goal line, which is somewhere that you don't really see Kreider going, somewhere you don't really see Mika going. And these two are both elite finishers. Kako is a great setup man. Obviously, he was more touted as that the finishing ability when he first got here, but I think his playmaking ability, his board work, and his down low work is really where he shines. Distributed to those guys, and then you got Laffy with the motor, the physicality, Trocheck, Panarin. I can see it already.
We have to improve our 5-on-5 last year. Like, yeah, the power play was great, so it overshadowed the fact that, like, yeah, we were like top 5 for power play all year, but we were also in 5-on-5 hockey, like bottom 5 on scoring goals. So like that has to change if you're going to win deeper series games against, like, to get in a better position. And the Metropolitans only improved, so we are going to crucially need 5-on-5 hockey to be better from the Rangers this year.
Couldn't agree with you more, man.
All right, Steve, thank you for your time. Let's go Rangers.
Let's go Rangers.